The 1st of November 2023. Will this be the day where the working world as we know it changes forever? Join myself and Cisilion CTO Rob Quickenden as we discuss what's new in the world of Microsoft. And Rob, I don't know how many people that are watching today managed to kind of see everything that was announced yesterday, but my God, we didn't expect, or I didn't expect, what came out of yesterday.
It was quite hijacked, wasn't it? It's phenomenal. I think we were all expecting a little bit of. To be fair, I was expecting the Windows AI stuff to be, the Copilot stuff to be released, because I've been a very early adopter of that since since about May, June. But yeah, I mean, all the stuff that was announced, I mean, phenomenal, right? Even the new Surface lineup was incredible. But I think the excitement I've seen on the back of the announcement yesterday, I think I'm pretty sure Microsoft crashed Twitter or X or whatever it's called these days. Yesterday it was just crazy.
So I think about 4:15, 4:10 yesterday, before the show in New York. If we flick to my screen right now, we're seeing kind of what came out on the Microsoft 365 blog, and wow, lots came out. So Microsoft 365 Copilot in Windows is being released just next week. And so much has kind of gone on to that, and in quite, to be honest, I haven't done as much on the Windows on the Windows Copilot myself, but everything that was announced yesterday, plugins to, I think, new plugins to Paint, new plugins to Clipchamp. There was so much, Adobe Express, so much more announced. So yeah, so
it's great. It's great to see. I mean, we clearly have got any of you that are Windows insiders. If you want to get access to this stuff now, involve one of your devices on the Windows Insider program. Jump on the program. You can play with this today. It's really good. It was interesting even yesterday, some of the things that were shown we're getting today, right? So as an insider, you'll get them today. It's the last build that we're going to get to review. But it is great now to see these third-party apps getting support for Copilot. And I think what Microsoft have done actually with really standardizing that framework means that the APIs are standard. The controls you get will obviously be subject to your licensing and kind of what versions of things that you've got. But it's great to see the likes of Spotify and Adobe and just so many of the core apps that we all rely on every day, right? It's great having the stock apps supported, which they all will be, but the third-party apps are what's going to bring it to life with Windows. And I think it's what will really differentiate it between, dare I say the word Cortana, before. And I think that was its failing, right? Its failing was it didn't have the app ecosystem, and actually this is what this will have.
So some of the stuff here I've got up on the screen now: Paint, enhanced AI for drawing and digital creation. So DALL-E 2, integration into Paint. Photos, again, enhanced AI capabilities with photos. Snipping tool, that's something I'm going to be really interested to see. What can we do more with the snipping tool? And Clipchamp. I don't know if you're like me, Rob. My son absolutely loves Minecraft and playing. And he's started to play around with Clipchamp now, so I'm going to be really excited to see what we can actually do within Clipchamp, so I don't get hassled to to what needs to be done within for his editing for Minecraft. So yeah, again, Notepad, all of the essential stuff here, Rob. That's the thing. All the essential stuff that we are used to day since Windows XP and before. Notepad, Paint, photos, all this stuff. AI integration now. So all these tools that we've known for 20 plus years are getting an AI integration into it, which is crazy, right?
And it's and you'd expect that. You'd expect all the core stock apps to get it as well. I think let's do a call out. Designer, that's free to consumers currently. That's coming into 365 commercial as well. We're seeing integration into Word and things. That's an awesome product. That's an absolutely awesome tool for marketeers, for kids, for anyone that just wants that does a lot of stuff in social media and wants to create posts. Really great tool to play around with. Definitely recommend.
Right. So the big one,
mobile
Rob,
app as well now.
So the big one, Rob, that I think everyone is mad about is the Microsoft 365 Copilot. As I kind of alluded to at the beginning of this webinar, the 1st of November 2023. That's quite quick.
You know what? It's going to change the little poem, isn't it? The remember the 5th of November. It's going to be remember the 1st of November.
And I can't believe how quick it is, though. Like, I was expecting a announcement at Ignite. Ignite is November the 13th, I think, to the 16th, 17th. And that's when I was expecting Satya to come out in Redmond, Seattle, and tell the world about Copilot. And I was expecting, I think I was speaking to a customer just earlier this week. I said, expect it in about March or April time, but nope. Yeah, 5 weeks.
I think, like you, John, I'd heard a few rumors that it would be sooner, but I think this was, I think announcement sooner of a date I was expecting, but actually the date I think is incredible. And I think, it is really good. And I think, Microsoft announced this back in, it was March. Can you believe it was March this was originally announced? And I think actually, if anything, it was a great excuse to revise the videos. And I think actually any of you that have seen we call them the sizzle videos that Microsoft released back in March, they haven't really changed. And actually you can see the work that they've done. And it was great to see yesterday real demos as well. So, we weren't just seeing these sizzle videos and stuff, which were, very great animated showcases, but actually to see it in real action is great. We've had the luxury of working with a number of different customers who are also on the early access programs, right? So we have been working with some customers on those very early stages. And it's been incredible to see the evolution of these things, right? And I think this is, it's that excitement factor is just everywhere. It's all people are talking about.
I mean, I think we've been quite lucky at Cisilion, like the hard work that yourself and the company have put in to kind of get to the forefront of this Copilot stage as a partner, and being able to work with some of the early access program customers and get them tenant ready and stuff. But there's something to really note here is that we haven't gone into like a private preview as such. We haven't gone into a public preview as such, but we've now got a 1st of November release date, but it's heavily caveated. So it's for enterprise users, so people who are on EA agreements for up to 300 users. So I would say it's a slow rollout for anything. I think CSP customers maybe need more support from the partners, and that's kind of the reason why it's been a bit slow to roll out from what I hear. But
yeah, Rob, I think the reason behind it, I think a lot of it is, there's pressure obviously in the industry for any organization like Microsoft to move forward on these things. There's certain expectations on these things. There's also recognition still that there is a huge amount of grounding work that organizations need to do to get the best out of these things, right? And I think the reason that a lot of these aspects are capped is that, and if you look at even the customers that are on the early access program, that was capped as well, right? The number of seats that they got licensed was capped. And I think the reason for that is to really ensure that organizations run constructed pilots themselves to these things. I mean, this is a fundamentally different way of working, right? And I think for this to really transform, and for some of the demos that you would have seen yesterday, and we'll post links to them later on if you haven't seen them, to be successful, organizations really need to do preparation. They need to have a pilot program across different parts of the organization. They need to communicate that change. They need to understand really what its potential is, how it's going to work, how you're going to work with an AI. It's very different to, I use this analogy all the time, but everybody back in November when ChatGPT got released to the public, was making poems and doing kind of fun gestury things, right? But this is really transformational, and I think therefore I'm really pleased that there is a cap on the number of seats, because there's lots of work to do, right?
Yeah, 100%. One question I did have for you, Rob, was about the EA and CSP. So for layman's terms, for people who don't really know the difference between the different types of Microsoft agreements, what is the main difference between EA and a CSP?
Yeah, so in fact, there's three. In fact, so you've got customers that might be very small businesses that pay on a credit card through what they call Web Direct, right? So or through like GoDaddy or an ISP provider. They're relatively very small. You've got then at the top end scale, you've got Microsoft's enterprise client. So, large thousands of seat organizations, those kind of things, they'll have an enterprise agreement where pricing is negotiated with Microsoft. They've got a dedicated Microsoft support team, so account managers, client success managers, product specialists. And then you've got kind of the middle tier, if you like, which is organizations that can, so it's typically your 500, 2,500 seat organizations. They buy through a cloud solution provider, so a CSP, who provide that licensing, but also on top of that, they essentially replace the role of Microsoft. So they are your technical support, they are your guidance, they are your adoption specialists, and we kind of sit in that category. So we have customers that sit at the enterprise level, where we work closely with the Microsoft team. And then we have a large number of customers where we provide product and licensing guidance and optimization, and all of those is in the CSP space. So Microsoft have been clear that for this initial stage, they're not calling it a preview, kind of is. If you take my view, is they want them to be Microsoft managed accounts, because Microsoft know they will need to provide quite a lot of guidance and support to make that pilot successful.
Which kind of makes sense. I mean, Microsoft have put a lot into this, a lot of announcement, a lot of buzz into it, and in my opinion, this has kind of been like the biggest kind of anticipated product since I can't even remember a product which has been so anticipated. I mean, we're having conversations every day about it, Rob, with different customers and multiple customers per day, and even this week it's been crazy busy in terms of the
It's so funny to think about if you go back 12 months, right, we didn't have ChatGPT, right, and we hadn't really envisaged this stuff. We're now talking about, 10 months later, we're talking about essentially that technology embedded. I mean, it's not just a sidebar application. We are talking about AI infused in the products that we use every day. That's a huge amount. It's a huge amount of work that's been done, and it's phenomenal. And it'd be really interesting to look back at this moment, on the 1st of November next year, and will we even be talking about it? This is just going to be, it will be as commonplace as asking our Alexa speaker or Google speaker what the weather's like. It's literally going to be. There's no going back. This is the way we are going to work.
The two things that I thought were really cool from the announcements, and it was in the blog, which we're sharing it in the comments and in the links and stuff. But two things I thought was really cool. One was the Copilot Lab. I hadn't heard about the Copilot Lab previously, but the Copilot Lab, as it says on the blog, is a laboratory for being able to learn good prompting. So something that we spoke about quite a bit with our customers is that Copilot and everything else is only going to be as good as the prompts that you give it. And Microsoft have given, if we show up my page now, should we show the sizzle video on it?
Yeah, might unmute your audio.
Yeah, let's go.
I think why it's playing in the background, actually, for any of you that have been using Bing Enterprise Chat, this has been within that for a little while, actually. I think if you're not aware of Bing Enterprise Chat, that was also talked about yesterday. But it's for anybody, Bing Chat is free for any consumer. You need a Microsoft account, but it's free. In Enterprise, it's been in preview for 2 months. You need to have an E3 or E5 or business premium license, so even smaller businesses can use it. And it's actually a really great way of getting the organization ready and practicing how to talk to generative AI. And you're absolutely right. I think when we think about the context of what generative AI can do, it's very easy to think about, we have to give it really simple instructions. What is the weather today? What is this? What is that? And actually, you can be really particular. If you've used these tools before, and if you haven't, please go and have a look at Bing Enterprise Chat. It's phenomenal. Is that you have this concept of terms, right, John? So you you ask a question and you keep refining, right? And you would have seen some of this on the videos yesterday where, you asked to create a PowerPoint deck. It's too many slides or too wordy. Can you condense it? Can you change the tone of this? Actually, can you also add some information from here? And what's incredible about Microsoft 365 Copilot, of course, is that's acting upon your data. So when you're asking it to go and generate information from a meeting, that might be a meeting you had this morning where you allow Teams to create notes for you through Teams Premium, then actually the ability to create a document on that, create a presentation on that is really phenomenal. But combined with the amount of information that's on the internet as well, it's absolutely phenomenal what you can do. And I think there's no way any video or any webinar can articulate the potential of what's out there.
Yeah, I also don't think that the potential of Copilot and everything that we're talking about today has even been realized yet. I don't think we're kind of on the cusp of what it can do and what it will do. You've got to remember that Copilot semantic indexing through MS Graph, it's still building up the picture. So what you're going to get on day 1, what you're going to get on day 30, what you're going to get on day 90, it's going to be completely different to what we're going to get in 365 days, what we get in 100, 720 days, etc., etc. It's just going to grow and grow and grow, and become more infused with your business, like as time goes by. So that's what I think is going to be really kind of interesting and really key, is like, what's that evolution going to be? And once we start to look at different APIs, different types of connectors into other business units that we have within an organization, that's when it's going to start to become, in my opinion, even more powerful. So we've got a lot of legal firms at the moment that we talk to. Most of them using iManage. Once we start getting those APIs for iManaging, once we've got organizations that are using Salesforce and using those APIs as well, and Copilot is indexing all of that data, it's only going to get more powerful, more clever to kind of what a business need is. So in terms of kind of what's then next and what should customers be looking at next, Rob, is the technical requirements. Something we speak about a lot is technical requirements, financial requirements, people requirements, and how do we get people to adopt it in a sensible way, a productive way, in a way that doesn't scare people when signing up. Is Copilot going to replace me? Am I going to lose my job because of Copilot? All these type of questions here. So
John, I'm smiling here, right, because I kind of know what you're about to ask me, and we deliver these business briefings, right? We've done 15, 16 of these over the last couple of weeks, and they take about 2 hours, right? So you're kind of asking me to do this in about 7 or 8 minutes, and anyone knows I can't in 7 or 8 minutes. But yeah, let's try and be really clear. So so anything Copilot does, right, is
I don't think I could ask you what the weather's like in 5 minutes, Rob. Let alone.
But look, it's only as good as the data it's got access to, right? So in short, let's go through some really key points. If you're not using the best out of Microsoft 365 apps and services, if your data's not in OneDrive, if you're not using Teams, if you're not using Exchange Online, all those kind of things, right, then Copilot's got its arms tied behind its back, right? It's got very limited access data. If you've got poor data governance, right, you've got lots of things that are out of date, you've got company policies, you've got proposal, whatever it is that you've got to have. You've got different versions of stuff all over the place. Files called the wrong thing. If you've got poor data security, so either over access to content or not enough access to content for people, then you're going to limit the ability of what Copilot can access, because it's not an internet search. So it is grounded by the core security, compliance, and governance that's set across your Microsoft 365 environment, right? And it's really, really important. And this is the one thing, if you're excited about Copilot, thinking about Copilot, even just interested in in trying it for people, you need to ensure that you start looking at your data governance, security policies, those kind of things. And as we evolve and Copilot evolves, and it will evolve, and you start looking at other data that you need to act upon, right? So John, you touched on some of those plugins, as Microsoft are calling them, for Copilot. or graph API connectors, right, from third-party apps and things, then it just becomes richer. I think it's going to change some organizations' IT strategies. I think where there might be decisions being made in the coming months or years around ERP and CRM platforms and things, I can see those decisions being influenced by Copilot if it's successful. I can see there being discussions and challenges around even other third-party applications that are used. So, we talked about iManage earlier on, but there's a plethora of hundreds of other applications and services that organizations need to use depending on the business. Whether they have got interoperability into Copilot, I think will become a decision-making process. Now, all of those applications are going to have their own AIs, right? AI is not going to be exclusive to anybody, but there's going to be a decision point about where the value is. Is there more value in having those tools, pulling and accessing data because of the applications that you live in? And I really think this is the differentiator for Microsoft, right? As it probably was with Teams, if we're honest, is we live and breathe in Windows. We live and breathe in Office 365 apps. If you can have your data where you use it, it's limitless what you can do.
Yeah, and a bit more of a higher level. And I want to just talk about something that Satya said yesterday on the opening of the keynote, which is like Microsoft at the moment are the only organization that are doing this. They're the key vendor, the only vendor in the market at the moment doing this. So what we've kind of seen over the years is Microsoft, either purchase organizations that are doing it already, large kind of market buyouts or takeovers. So they see Citrix doing really well with virtual desktops, for example. Oh, and let's create AVD. Let's create Windows 365. But with Copilot, this was a kind of like a market which nobody knew that they needed.
No.
And now they've actually tapped in. They've created this market by obviously a very good relationship of owning 49% of OpenAI, if not more, and working with them for the past couple of years, and then suddenly accelerated and going. I mean, I see lots of different blogs talking about AI in general, how that's going to change everybody's world. But at the end of the day, when we're looking at the vendors, it really is kind of Microsoft in the driving seat in terms of everything that's going to happen in the next 2 to 5 years. So as we kind of go back to that technical readiness, are we kind of seeing everything kind of going down to that more Microsoft route? Are we going to be seeing more customers on Purview or Defender? And are they just going to be having a clean sweep in terms of that E5 license, I wonder?
I mean, we kind of joke about this a lot, and I think there was a lot of expectation, although Microsoft kind of said it pretty clear that, well, isn't surely Copilot we part of E5, right? And I think, they are very different things, right? So actually worth pointing out, if you're not aware, Microsoft 365 E3, E5 or Business Premium are the minimum SKUs that you need to apply Copilot onto. You have to have those SKUs. So if you've got F SKUs or Office E plans, you can't add Copilot to those. You've got to elevate yourself up, right? So you need to bear that in mind when you're thinking about the costs. But it absolutely is, and they're doing that, I think, firstly because they don't want a monopolist commission on their hands again. Secondly, because you might not need a Copilot for everyone, right? So therefore, Microsoft have got a choice of inflating the cost or allowing it to be an option, right? And I think, if you're a large enterprise customer, you're going to negotiate the price that you pay for licensing, right? So I'll leave it there. I'm not having a cost conversation, but you will. It's always going to be about choice, and it's always going to be about what product fits best for what. I think if you live your life in an ERP application and that's not a Microsoft application, then the native AI that product's got is probably totally sufficient, right? As long as it meets your security governance requirements and things. If you spend most of your life in 365 apps and email and Teams and those kind of things, then does it make more sense to have that AI native to the application set? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, if you use Google, if you're a Google house, then will it make sense to use the Google house? Absolutely. I think it's all about bringing where you are. I think on your point about the E5 SKUs and security, I think, firstly, I see consolidation of multiple security and compliance products and those kind of things being potentially a way of affording Copilot, right? You know, because there's what 60 or 70% savings by moving, you know, into E5 if you've got those similar products outside. I think it's also just about, you know, recognizing that you're going to have that confidence of, if everything is configured to the same platform for that platform, then I think you've just got a bit more certainty. There's always lots of debate about different security products. I think some organizations will do double layering and have a bit of both. But certainly, you know, look at the conversations that we've had in the last few weeks. I am seeing consolidation of those products. I am seeing Copilot as being a reason or the fuel of why you should sort out your data governance, why you should start looking at consolidating different product sets.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree, especially with Copilot security coming out as well. You know, what you're going to be able to do across all of the security stack as well in a single player class, all prompt based again. It's going to be incredible. But got a couple of minutes left, Rob, and it would be ignorant for me not to ask you about the new services. I know you love them.
Do you know what? You know what? I was on a holiday once actually, and they had the Surface announcements, and I had to stop and watch it live. So it was, you know, I heard lots of negative things yesterday actually on the back of the announcements around the Surface devices, right? And I think this is partly because, you know, Microsoft do this twice a year now. So, you know, there was lots of, you know, they've forgotten about laptop, forgotten about Pro. But let's remember, you know, Microsoft released a new Surface laptop and a new Surface Pro earlier this year, right? So what did Microsoft announce yesterday? You know, the new Surface Laptop Studio 2. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's a beast. It's expensive. It is a beast of a device. But wow, you know, first, you know, obviously every new device is the highest spec they've ever built. But you know, first Intel to have NPUs. All right. So what Microsoft doing with all the Surface lineup now is they're bringing AI to the edge, and I think this is really important. Is as we start consuming more AI services, particularly within Windows, a lot of that local processing that gets done is now going to be done on chip. So Microsoft are all about this kind of, you know, silicon and software. And a large part of the updates to Windows 11 that we're all seeing, and it's amazing how many people I still see running on Windows 10, given we've only got a year left before end of life of 10, is actually all about being AI ready. So, you know, I think that again will fuel it. But you know, phenomenal sorts of devices. Even, you know, yesterday they released the next generation of the Surface Laptop Go.
It looks sweet, doesn't it?
Awesome.
It looks sweet. It looks nice. It looks like a nice little laptop.
Yeah, I've already had two put on my Christmas shopping list by my wife and my son. Mainly because they were showing off Designer and Clipchamp on it. So, but no, awesome bits of kit. And the other thing actually that was kind of quite quietly announced afterwards was Surface Hub 3.
Yeah.
And that was great to see. And again, actually, the big thing to shout out about that, if you're Surface Hub fans, is there is an upgrade path. So Microsoft have provided a cartridge upgrade from Surface Hub 2 to Surface Hub 3, which is about 40% of the price of buying a new hub. So, and it's great, I think, from a sustainability perspective to give that upgrade path.
So when we're going to get them in our home offices, Rob?
I'm still waiting to find out. So obviously we're going through this office refurb at the moment, right? And we had a Surface Hub on the wall. So I'm still trying to work out where that's gone, because there's definitely a place for it behind me.
Cool. All right. I think that's a nice little place to kind of end it. I think we got 2 minutes before our time. Any parting words from you, Rob?
I think that, you know, get excited. I think start prepping your organization around what's going to happen. You know, contact us if you want any help and guidance. If you're not managed, if you're managed by Microsoft, please speak to them. And I think start preparing, start thinking about what you'll be doing as an organization to get your data and your people ready. You're going to need to have a good conversation with finance, right? You know, everyone's going to want this, and it's got a price tag. great opportunity to start looking at these things and working on some time and motion studies and thinking about where the ROI is going to come from, because these are serious conversations that obviously have to happen, right, across
I mean,
the
if
business.
we just if we can switch my screen really quickly, if you go to info.cecilion.com/get Copilot ready, you can download our Copilot guide, speak to either Rob and myself after kind of about your Copilot journey, and we can go from there. But just have a look, speak to us, and I'm sure we can help out any organisation, anyone looking to go down the Copilot route from November.
And look, thank you for everyone for joining the show. If you've got any questions, please do throw them into the chat on LinkedIn or YouTube. And if there's more things that you want to know, right, our aim here is to try and sort through some of the fluff. Please do reach out either publicly or privately to any of us on LinkedIn, and be more than happy to have a conversation.
Awesome.
So
cool,
thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. A bit of an impromptu one, but I think we've got to move with what's the news. And again, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll speak to you soon.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.